Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and before we get started, I do want to tell you guys that I've decided to listen to a lot of you, and I want to start doing a few VOD reviews, maybe like 1 or 2 a week. I don't really know exactly, but with that in mind, I started up a Discord. The link will be in the description below. You can click on that, you can submit your VOD reviews there, you can do other stuff really. It's mostly going to be for VOD reviews, talking about video ideas, stuff like that. But yeah, just wanted to mention that before we get started, and with all that said, let's get straight into the video. So of course, with the tank meta nerfed, with D.Va, Roadhog, and of course with Ana nerfed, there's been some characters that are actually becoming a lot more meta right now, and that we're seeing a lot right now, such as Soldier 76. But as well with this, with these guys being nerfed, there's a lot of characters that I don't really see way too often that actually do really well against characters that aren't tanks. So I kind of want to put that together, talk about the characters that will counter the most used characters right now, and as well with that, talk about the characters that will actually be really good after these tanks kind of get out of the way. So kind of twofold with that. But anyways, as far as the actual characters themselves, I'm going to say that the first character that is really good in PTR, that we've actually been seeing a decent amount, but not really way too much, is Pharah. And I feel like this meta does actually support her quite a bit, mainly for a few reasons. First off, D.Va really hurt Pharah. Her right click just completely stopped her far range, and while Reinhardt has to take that damage to his shield, D.Va can just completely block it and just run around, of course get close up to that Pharah, so it does make it a little bit hard for her. As well, Roadhog can kind of hook her out of the air if she's not playing way too well. That's not as much of a trouble, but why I feel like she's going to be played quite a bit right now is also the fact that maybe Soldier's going to be played more, but also Zarya is going to be played more, and Zarya does really nice wonders with Pharah. Pharah, of course, is pretty easy to pick off, depending on where she is. She should try to flank around and try to get kills from the behind, but, you know, sometimes she just gets picked off, and it's a bit of a problem with her. But if you have a Zarya in your team, she can eat the Pharah, and she can allow the Pharah to do a lot of damage and really be a little bit uncounterable for at least a while. And why I think that this is going to actually be important is because I feel like Zarya is going to be played a lot more. Now that all the other tanks have really been nerfed except for Reinhardt, we're probably going to see a lot of Zarya and a lot of Reinhardt. And when you have characters that mix well with both these characters, especially mixes like Zarya's ultimate with Pharah's Q, well, there you go. You got a really nice combo that can deal a lot of damage. You can protect the Pharah in the air. And as well, just both these guys are really great at spacing out the enemies. You can walk really far ahead of your team, or at least a decent amount, kind of space out the enemy so that they can't actually engage way too well. And yeah, I feel like honestly they just work really well together. Now, of course, with more Soldier, I can't say for sure this is going to be played every single game, but if you can play Pharah well, Soldier actually doesn't like 100% counter her like someone like Widow does. If you hide around the corners or if you gank around behind, Soldier really can't do way too much. So depending on your playstyle, I feel like she's really going to be a great pick, and especially at the lower ranks, even right now in the tank meta, she can do wonders. It's really hard for people to pick you off, and if they don't pick hit scan, which people often won't in these lower ranks, you pretty much can auto win the game for your team. So really at any rank like below diamond or below masters, I'd say she's going to be completely amazing, while above that I feel like she's going to be quite strong still. For the next pick, I'm going to say Widowmaker does deserve the spot. And the reason for this is because she really wrecks on a Soldier if the Widowmaker is a really good player. She wrecks on Pharah. She wrecks on a lot of characters. The only really big problem about her is that she kind of gets bodied by a lot of the tanks, but since Winston really isn't way too great right now anyways, and he's the main counter, and of course D.Va used to be a good counter, but now that she's not quite as good, I feel like we will be seeing her quite a bit more. Now with that being said, I'm not really expecting to see her way too more in really high ranks, as a good Soldier that hides behind the Rein shield all the time still kind of does wreck Widowmaker, but in a lot of situations, especially like anywhere masters below, people won't always hide behind the Rein shield. People won't always position correctly all the time. And if you're a good Widow, if you have really good positioning yourself, and if you're just ready for people to run around in the wrong positioning, well, you can just snipe them off, give your team a 6v5, and in the majority of the situations, you should really be winning right there. I'd say mainly she's just going to be strong because a lot of the characters that are going to be strong right now, she can one-shot, and as well with that, there's just less tanks, which always makes her better. Now, as well with this, though, before you decide to pick her up, do remember that it takes a huge amount of time to get good at this character. It's very hard to always play her effectively, hard to learn how to position, but if you put the time together, I'm going to say, as always, she's going to be really worth your while, and especially in the next meta that's to come. For the next hero, I'm going to expect actually that Mei's going to be a very strong pick. Now, even right now, Mei's actually been a decent pick. She's really been doing okay, but I feel like the reason why a lot of people don't pick her is because a lot of the times it's just better to choose a third tank. Mei kind of is like a tank-ish type character herself, as she can do a lot of stuff a tank can do. She can wall people out, she can stall for a lot of time, she can block a lot of damage, as well with that she has quite a bit of CC, so she's kind of like a mini tank. And with the reduction of the power of the other tanks, I'm seeing, in at least my eyes, that she's going to be picked quite a bit more. Now of course this is mainly on defense and on King of the Hill maps, but even with that said, I'm just really going to expect her. As well with this, I feel like her ultimate was decent against a lot of the tanks, but actually a lot of the tanks have a lot of mobility, or they have things that can just stop getting hurt by Mei's ultimate, such as Zarya's E and Zarya's Q. So when we see less tanks with less mobility that can just jump around, I feel like her ultimate is just a lot better. And as well with this, you know, her ultimate can only freeze people for a certain amount of time, and it's really hard to actually burst through the tanks. But if you can get a good ultimate on squishies, you can 1 or 2 pop them in the head, take them out, and just go on from there. So yeah, I'm really expecting her to become quite a bit stronger after these tanks are gone, and just kind of replace one of the tanks in her own position. So yeah, those are the picks that I'm expecting are going to be very strong, but not really picked way too much. I'm honestly going to be surprised if these guys are picked way too often, as I feel like they do have a lot of power, but there's just some other heroes that people are just going to really gravitate for a lot more, such as Zarya and such as Soldier, and I guess still such as Ana. So, I don't know, we might be seeing these guys quite a bit, but I feel like if you guys can learn these characters, use them, you could definitely abuse them in the new meta, and especially since they aren't like 100% part of the meta right now, people really won't be used to fighting these characters, and you'll have a huge advantage from playing an off-meta hero, as well as playing a hero that's pretty good against the meta. So I'd say you can really just add both those up, and it should help you quite a bit in the future. Anyways, as always, this is just my own personal opinion. If you have a different one, or if you think all these heroes are going to be trash, tell me in the comment section down below. I like to hear what everybody has to say. As well, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see any future content such as this, and as always, have a wonderful day.